Older patients with dementia begin losing cognitive function. Over time, hearing and vision are also affected. Some patients find it difficult to use a normal remote control. Braille remote controls are available to help the patients interact independently with the video screens. Braille is also used in elevators of caregiving facilities to allow the users to interact independently.
One can write notes either in the novel he or she is reading or in a separate notebook. The advantage of the former method is that it doesn't disturb one's reading too much. Disadvantage is that it spoils a book. It affects one's second reading of the novel. There is not always too much room for the notes in the book.
One fascinating survey indicates that a woman's choice is likely to reveal a great deal about herself and her relationship with her husband. Women who take their husband's name place the most importance on relationships. On the other hand, women who keep their birth names put their personal concerns ahead of relationships and social expectations.
One of the major factors influencing future home design will be the probable change in climate, with hotter summers, colder winters, and the possibility of floods. Consequently, houses will be built with better insulation and will also need ways of keeping cool in hot weather, whether that's air conditioning or more shading of windows.
One of the major processes that takes place in schools, of course, is that students learn. When they graduate from high school, many can use a computer, write essays with 3-part theses, and differentiate equations. In addition to learning specific skills, they learn to think critically, to weigh evidence and to develop independent judgment.
One of the major processes that takes place in schools, of course, is that students learn. When they graduate from high school, many can use a computer, write essays with 3-part theses, and differentiate equations. In addition to learning specific skills, they learn to think critically, to weigh evidence and to develop independent judgment.
One of the most important prerequisites for further productivity increase in the field of agriculture and food security problem solution is strengthening rural settlements and increasing the incomes of the rural population. There is still a need for specification of state policy and its directions related to the improvement of the situation created in the rural communities, considering elimination of polarization and inequality between the village and city.
Opera refers to a dramatic art form, originating in Europe, in which the emotional content is conveyed to the audience as much through music, both vocal and instrumental, as it is through the lyrics. By contrast, in musical theater an actor's dramatic performance is primary, and the music plays a lesser role.
Our central aim is to enable you to develop knowledge and attitudes and skills that are conducive to constructive involvement, cooperation and teamwork with others and will serve you well in future endeavors. To succeed, the process demands all of us a serious exercise in civic responsibility.
Our demand for electricity is climbing so fast that over the next decade our generating capacity must increase by a third. Fossil fuels supply nearly 3/4 of this energy, but the smoke-expelling coal, gas, and oil-fired plants are also responsible for half of our air pollution. That might be considered as a small price to pay for progress.
Our major conclusion is that the current measure needs to be revised. It no longer provides an accurate picture of the differences in the extent of economic poverty among population groups or geographic areas of the country, nor an accurate picture of trends over time. Over 55 million people worldwide are believed to be living with Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. In Australia, there are up to 487,500 people living with dementia. There is no known cure for the disease, but early intervention can help prevent disease progression.
Over many years, there has been great interest in how objects skim on water. From the playfulness of stone skipping to more serious applications in aircraft safety, The topic of skimming has fascinated scientists, engineers, and mathematicians alike.
Over the centuries, the holiday evolved, and by the 18th century, gift-giving and exchanging handmade cards on Valentine's Day had become common in England. Handmade Valentine's cards made of lace, ribbons, and featuring cupids and hearts eventually spread to the American colonies. The tradition of Valentine's cards did not become widespread in the United States, however, until the 1850s.
Over the past 30 years or so, the quality of many people's lives has deteriorated in some respects because of technological progress. Those people living near airports are constantly assailed by the noise of increasingly larger and more powerful jet aircraft taking off and landing.
Panda is the name for two nocturnal Asian mammals, the red panda and the giant panda. The red panda, also known as lesser panda and cat bear, is found at high elevations in the Himalayas. It resembles a raccoon but has a longer body and tail and a more rounded head.
Panda is the name for two nocturnal Asian mammals, the red panda and the giant panda. The red panda, also known as lesser panda and cat bear, is found at high elevations in the Himalayas. It resembles a raccoon but has a longer body and tail and a more rounded head. Its thick fur is rust color to deep chestnut, with black on the underparts, limbs, and ears.
Parents teach their children to be fearful and cautious of specific dangers, such as fire or crossing the road. Anxiety can be useful, because it helps protect the child from harm. However, children can be fearful of situations or objects that adults don't consider threatening.
Parents teach their children to be fearful and cautious of specific dangers, such as fire or crossing the road. Anxiety can be useful, because it helps protect the child from harm. However, children can be fearful of situations or objects that adults don't consider threatening.
Past research shows that loyalty programs can generate switching costs for consumers and increase their purchase frequency. Theoretical work suggests that if switching costs are significant, firms should charge lower prices in the early periods of a program to boost market share, and increase prices in later periods, to take advantage of the lock-in effect.